What's up, good people? The Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 2 has come to an end, so now I will go ahead and take the time to review and reflect upon each movie that came out in Phase 2. Alright, we got 6 of these bad boys to go through, so bear with me. Let's start off with Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 came out in May of 2013, 1 year after the Avengers. So the Avengers was a global phenomenon, so everybody was clamoring to see this movie. It had been an entire year since we had got an MCU movie, so you can best believe that the anticipation was high. Especially considering that Robert Downey Jr. became the most popular actor and character in this entire series. As I think back to when I saw Iron Man 3 in theaters, I had an incredible in-theater experience. I had tons of fun, I laughed a lot. I really enjoyed this movie when I went to go see it. In hindsight, I don't think Iron Man 3 is the greatest thing that they've ever done. So there's a few things that just didn't work for me when I look back at the movie. By the way, huge spoiler alerts. By this time, if you haven't seen the movies, that's on you, but I'm warning you, if you don't want spoilers, do not watch the rest of this video. So now that that's out the way, let's get back to the movie. I don't think the Mandarin twist worked. In the marketing of the movie and even in the movie itself, they spent a lot of time developing this character and building him up only to pull the rug out from under us and completely switch up the plot. Guy Pearce's character in the movie turns out to be the real Mandarin. And you know, I just didn't really like that because the Mandarin is supposed to be one of Iron Man's primary antagonists, so to kind of switch it up midway through the movie. Also, I didn't like the whole fire thing that they had going on, like the fire-breathing people. That was just kind of really weird to me. I didn't understand that. And then that stretch of movie where Tony Stark was in that small town during Christmas, I didn't like that either. And he was there for like 30 minutes. It was just those things that I wasn't really a fan of for this movie. I thought that there were some things that they could have done better, some pacing that they could have worked out better. But I do think that Robert Downey was phenomenal as usual. Iron Man 3 had some incredible action sequences. His whole mansion just getting destroyed, you know, in the first act, that was great to look at. Also the airplane rescue scene and then the final action sequence with all the different Iron Man suits and body armor and things, that was pretty cool too. So it was cool. It's not the best Iron Man to me. One still has that title as the best Iron Man movie in the series. But despite how I feel, Iron Man 3 made $1.2 billion at the box office, obviously was a hit, and it was the first film in Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Film 2 of Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Thor: The Dark World. So Thor: The Dark World is the second movie in the Thor series, and it came out in November of 2013. Similarly to Iron Man 3, I remember having a really great in-theater experience. Off my first viewing, I loved this movie. You know, it was just really funny, had a lot of cool, geeky moments in it. It was just a really good movie to watch. Now again, in hindsight, it didn't work out the best. The biggest and most glaringly obvious flaw of this film is the villain, which is a huge thing for all of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Dark Elf Malekith, who's completely forgettable, who also looks like a Teletubby, was just not it. When you have a really weak villain in the film, that kind of takes away some of the fun of it, some of the threat that exists for a hero. If you just don't have a good villain, it's hard to ever believe that the hero is ever in danger. And then also this romance between Thor and Jane, I'm just not liking it. I just don't really like the whole romance. I mean, you know, Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman, they have chemistry. That's not it. It's just that the fact that it's such a huge part of these movies irks me. And then the payoff at the end, like the finale of the movie, wasn't that impressive to me either. It was okay. And I mean, Thor and Malekith were fighting, but never did I believe Malekith could actually beat Thor. And Thor is actually my favorite Avenger, so like, I love it to see him just kick everybody else's ass, but again, if he's not actually threatened, then I'm just watching a squash at that point. The best thing about this movie, no surprise, is Loki and his relationship with Thor. Loki has been the best villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe still to this day, and his relationship with Thor is really what makes all of this tick. So if he wasn't in this movie, it probably would have been horrible. So I'm just thankful that Loki was a pretty big presence in this movie to continue that relationship. But ultimately, Loki and Thor, as, you know, brothers and as a unit together on screen, that's where the chemistry is. That's what's electrifying. That's where I really start to enjoy the Thor movies. So Thor: The Dark World is one of those movies that has some missteps, a weak villain, you know, some anticlimactic finale plots and action devices at the end that didn't work out. It's a good film, but if we're looking at the rest of the MCU, it does kind of fall flat. And probably my biggest thing is I still don't think Marvel has figured out how to do Thor completely on screen. He's been on screen a lot. I like Chris Hemsworth, he's the perfect Thor, but they haven't fully unleashed his potential. That's what I'm really waiting to see. Fully unleash the potential of the God of Thunder. Like, he is an incredibly powerful hero, and once Marvel delves into that and actually exploits how much he's capable of, then I think we'll be on to something. This next movie in the MCU, oh boy, how do I love this movie so. Let me just start off by saying that nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw how good this movie was gonna be. I'm talking about Captain America: The Winter Soldier, my personal favorite movie of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe thus far. I mean, what a film. This is not just a great superhero film, this is just a great film overall. The Russo brothers came in and completely changed the tone of the MCU and of Captain America as a character. Prior to this movie, I did not like Captain America. I thought Captain America 1 was okay. I thought he was lackluster in the Avengers. This movie made me respect the character so much more. They really just hit it all on the head. So the Winter Soldier personifies elements of a political thriller from the 1970s, which was a really popular genre back then, and Robert Redford, you know, who's associated with those types of movies, comes in and injects this level of legitimacy to the film as well. Beyond Captain America, Steve Rogers is as much of a Black Widow film too. And then, you know, Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier, a really respectable and formidable villain. Man, I really just love this movie. Like, I just loved how different it was from everything else that they produced. It had tons of practical, real action, which was incredible. It was one of the best action movies of 2014. And it just had huge ramifications for the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, they literally destroyed S.H.I.E.L.D. in this movie. And the clever thing is that they did it from within. S.H.I.E.L.D. imploded because Hydra existed throughout all of those years within S.H.I.E.L.D. So there was like this huge sense of paranoia all throughout the film. Were people trying to kill Cap? You know, were people watching him? What were people's motives? Just all of these different elements, and just added layers to the script and to the story. And like I said, the ramifications were just huge. So moving forward, everything that would come after this movie would be affected by what happened in the Winter Soldier. Not to mention the whole mystery behind the Winter Soldier as a character and Bucky Barnes and what happened to him throughout all those years and how he became this assassin, you know, and now Cap is on the run to find him. It's like everybody in the movie just goes rogue, you know. We have the addition of Falcon in the movie, played by Anthony Mackie, who I thought did an incredible job. Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, he also had a great presence in this movie. Everything was just really on point in the Winter Soldier. And did I talk about the action? I think I did, but the action and the fight scenes were just, man, they were just really good. Like I said, man, The Winter Soldier is my favorite MCU movie. I just think that they really took their level of storytelling to the next level, and now the Russo brothers are charged with the huge responsibility of not only Civil War next year, but of the two-part Avengers Infinity War. It just goes to show that the producers at Marvel and Kevin Feige, after seeing this movie and witnessing how good they are, they trust them with carrying the entire MCU on their backs moving forward. The next movie up is Guardians of the Galaxy, which is the fourth movie in Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Again, this is another movie that I just absolutely love. Wow, 2014 was just an incredible year for them. They put out their two best movies so far, if you ask me. Another movie nobody saw coming. Guardians of the Galaxy took unknown characters, really C, maybe even D-level comic book characters, and turned them into superstars. The cast in this movie is just incredible. Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, just everybody is just phenomenal. Guardians of the Galaxy is really a space opera. It's just a beautiful and gorgeous movie to look at. There's planets and galaxies and different universes. It just shows that the massive scope of this entire universe is almost limitless. And the soundtrack, phenomenal. The soundtrack was phenomenal. It just had 70s and 80s pop, hits that people probably forgot, but this movie reminded you of how good those songs were. And Awesome Mix Volume 1 is definitely an incredible collection of songs. I can't wait to hear Volume 2. But you know what the best trait is about Guardians of the Galaxy? Hands down, this is Marvel's funniest movie. Like, hands down. You got Bradley Cooper voicing this raccoon who's like a maniac with a gun who just spurts off at the mouth whenever he wants. You have Dave Bautista playing Drax, who takes everything so literal, and he has some of the best punchlines and best moments in the movie. Groot says 3 words all the time, and Chris Pratt as Star-Lord literally becomes a breakout star in Hollywood from this role because he just led this ensemble cast in this incredible movie. Like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy is just extraordinary, and it's opened up the doors for Marvel to take risks with lesser known and less prominent characters in the future. Now trust me, if this film didn't go over well, we probably wouldn't see an Inhumans. I doubt we would see a Captain Marvel, and you would even have to question like a Black Panther. This movie gave the studio confidence to go ahead and put their resources into creating movies around lesser known characters, because these stories deserve to be told. These stories have substance, and if done properly, they can become incredible phenomenons. And James Gunn, the director of this movie, has got to be given props for taking this to an entirely new level. And I'm just so excited to see what he does with Volume 2 of this movie and how they're going to integrate them and this team with the Avengers and Infinity War, because you know it's going to happen. Alright, and here we are, Avengers Age of Ultron. This is the movie that everybody had been waiting for since the first Avengers. So, Age of Ultron, great movie. Hands down, great movie. Let's get this out the way. No, it is not better than the first Avengers. Now, technically, is it better? As a movie, yes, it's better. As a moment in cinematic history, as something pivotal, as something special, that's where it isn't better than the first. But that's not the movie's fault. Nothing will ever match the first Avengers because that was just a special moment in cinematic history. So if we're going to look at Age of Ultron as just a movie, which I will do, I think that this is a great movie. There's some incredible action that you just won't see in any other action movie because this team-up dynamic is just bananas. Of course, they bring in the comedy element along as well. That's the staple of Marvel movies. They gotta have the comedy, and this film had a lot of it. Now I'm gonna tell you what didn't work. The whole subplot of Thor leaving by himself to go get in that river, water, cave, whatever that was, that just didn't work. And knowing what I know now, Joss Whedon, the director, didn't want that in, but Marvel pretty much made him put it in to lead up to the future movies in the next phase. That hurt this film because that's the one flaw about the MCU. Everything has to set up something else, which can hurt the film that you're currently trying to focus on. Films should just stand alone as films. Can we work on other stuff later? Yeah, maybe so, but I want to enjoy this moment right now. Also, the whole farm plot where, they go to Hawkeye's, inexplicable off-the-grid farm, I wasn't a fan of it. I like that they gave Hawkeye more screen time and developed him as a character more since he got, pretty much ribbed in the first one. However, I think they spent a little bit too much time there. Also, I am tired of them fighting mindless, senseless armies of other things that aren't humans. Like in the first Avengers, they faced a ton of aliens and kicked all of their asses. In this one, they faced a ton of robot clones of Ultron and kicked all of their asses. Now I get it. You kind of have to have an army for the Avengers to go against to, otherwise you wouldn't need the Avengers. However, it does get a bit repetitive when they're just fighting mindless, senseless armies of just whatever. Not to mention, Ultron was a little bit of a letdown, I would say. It was leading up to it, we got this real menacing, real evil personification of just bad from Ultron. I just thought he was just gonna be bad, and he turned out to be kind of funny. Well, it made sense because he was created from Tony Stark, but again, the marketing up to it made me believe something otherwise. So when I saw the movie, similarly to Iron Man 3, I was just kind of thrown off. Now they decided to go ahead and kill somebody, which they rarely do. They kill, you know, Quicksilver, but I didn't really care about Quicksilver. But I mean, I guess it was cool, you know. Cool to, you know, see somebody die every now and then. It actually makes it believable that people can die in this universe. But enough about my griping. Overall, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I loved it. I think technically it's a better film than the first. It is a bit bloated. The villain is a little bit of a letdown. However, Age of Ultron stands head and shoulders above most other superhero movies. That's just the bottom line about it. And anytime you got all of these heroes coming together and they're all just kicking butt side by side, using each other, teaming up, you know, the collaborative efforts, the comedy that's injected into it, and the amazing action sequences, you're gonna get a great film. And now the final film in phase 2 of the MCU, Ant-Man. So this film is still pretty fresh. It just came out a couple of weeks ago. I have my own review of this movie. And surprisingly enough, I enjoyed Ant-Man. I thought it was really good and it was really funny. It has some really innovative and creative action sequences, the shrinking, you know, and then back to human size. That really adds another layer to this movie that the other MCU movies don't have. All of the characters I really enjoyed, actually. Everybody added something different to the entire film, and I thought everybody played their role really well. Again, another thing about the MCU, we're going back to this again, villain a bit of a letdown. You know, Marvel, you really gotta figure something out with this whole villain thing. I know y'all don't have access to the greatest villains in the world, but man, come on, get it together. But again, I liked Ant-Man. I liked, you know, them setting up the Wasp for the, you know, future movies. I liked Michael Douglas as Hank Pym. I thought Paul Rudd as Scott Lang was you know, fantastic. Michael Pena, who's a part of Scott Lang's crew, his heist crew, he stole the show for the movie. He had the funniest moments, hands down. And I think this is going to be a welcome addition to the entire MCU. I'm excited to see Ant-Man in other movies. Will he get another sequel on his own? I don't think he needs to. I don't know what else we can explore with this character in a solo film. But I think if, you know, you incorporate him into other movies like he will be in Civil War, you're going to be able to utilize some really creative and innovative storytelling and action sequences just with the dynamic of his character. So yes, Ant-Man was, you know, a pleasant surprise. I didn't think I was going to like this movie. I was very worried about it, but it turned out to be a pleasant surprise. Marvel, again, they continue to deliver the laughs, continue to deliver the incredible action, and they utilize a popular film genre, heist. They utilize that to tell the story, which is something that they are good for, so that furthers the story. So yes, Ant-Man gets a thumbs up for me. So here we are again, people. Phase 2 is officially at an end. The Marvel Cinematic Universe continues on next year with Phase 3. I certainly think Phase 2 is better than Phase 1. Phase 1 was really a lot of standalone movies, you know, that ended up being the Avengers. Phase 2 deepened every character. It widened the universe even more. It opened up some incredible opportunities for some future storytelling, and it really just enhanced the superhero genre of film even further. So that's all I got from my retrospect and reviews of Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 2 of films. As always, follow me on social media, JRWD Creator, on Twitter and Instagram. Go check out my website, JordanRWilliams.com, and then go check me out on MoviePilot.com/JordanRWilliams, and I will see y'all next time.